Hello, Trang.
Hey, Jenny, how are you?
I'm so excited to have you on this podcast. How are you?
Doing great. Thank you so much for having me. It's like a really great opportunity for me to, share our work and, yeah, just see what people are interested in. So thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, are you calling in from Vietnam right now?
Yeah, I'm in Hanoi, Vietnam right now.
I know you're based in US, but I've heard so much great dev talent is in Vietnam right now. So it's an
Yeah, it's
exciting
true.
time.
Actually, quite a few of my friends from high school are in kind of the dev world here. So I actually need to connect with them and and talk tech. But yeah, that's for another time.
Okay. Well, I'll do a quick intro and then I'll turn it over to your intro. Does that sound good?
Sounds great.
Okay. And anyone in the audience, please comment where you're dialing in from and any questions that you might already have. But I'll start. I'm Jay Z. I rap about product management. This founder design thinking podcast is about fearless founder first adopters who have pivoted due to design thinking and user research. And Trong, you're going to talk a lot about that and show a demo and slides. I think the only thing I'll have to say before I turn it over to you is that I just launched my Substack and it's scrolling at the bottom. So please subscribe for more original content. Trong, your intro, please.
Awesome. Great intro. Hi, I'm Trang Ho. I'm the co-founder of MasaFresh, and I'm obsessed with building useful and easy to use experience for small business owners. And for the last 5 years, my focus has been building the tools for farmers. And I'm a self-taught bubbler. If you're familiar with Bubble, it's a no-code platform. Basically, you can, it's for people with no tech background like me. So anyone can build fully functional and scalable softwares with Bubble. I found it in 2018 through like a recommendation from a friend, and just been using it for work and for fun ever since. And before that, I have more than 10 years of background in e-commerce and digital marketing. I worked at Gap.com in kind of a cross-functional team of marketers, designers, developers, merchandisers to manage our digital campaigns. So basically, all of the promo banners on the e-com website and emails are done by the team. So yeah, I just love the e-commerce world. So I've consulted with a lot of small business as well with their e-commerce strategy and execution. Uh, yeah, that's kind of a long intro, but yeah.
Yeah, viewers, please comment your questions. But Trong, I think your co-founder has the same name, and
Yeah,
you told me that like Vietnamese people are obsessed with food. So how did you get
yeah,
started
I
with
forgot to to our
MasaFresh?
team. Yeah, so I wanted to share about my co-founder as well. Her name is Chang Shaba, and Chang has the background in market research and customer development. So before Masa, she has done market research work for CPG clients like Coca-Cola and Unilever. She's even lived in potential customers' homes to observe their behavior and routine. Like that's how detailed and kind of that's how what's like dedicated she is to customer understanding. And her talent, she has an amazing talent of making like complete strangers feel at ease, and they will share with her like intimate details of their lives, including their dreams and challenges and goals. And I think that's a really rare talent to have, because you hear people talk about talking to users, right? It sounds really simple, but it's really, really one of the most difficult things, because people like like that cliche of like what people think they do, what they say they do, and what they actually do are completely different things. And so, yeah, that's Chang's superpower. Yeah, and so that's our team. We're also backed by Oregon Startup Center, based in Beaverton, and also Techstars.
Awesome. Can you give us like a one sentence on the founding story, like why you started MasaFresh?
Yeah, so Chang and I are actually high school friends from Hanoi, Vietnam. And in 2016, we reconnected after a long period of time of losing touch, and just immediately bonded over, concerns about the environment, honestly. And also, we were both pretty disillusioned with our careers at the time. Like I was in the apparel business, Chang was in the CPG world. And, personally for me, I got to see kind of firsthand, because before Gap, I was actually working in production management as well for like a accessory company. And I got to see kind of firsthand how wasteful it is and how really harmful it is for the environment. So I don't know, just I think we really connected over those things, and also over our passion for food. We're both obsessed with cooking and food, and if you're a foodie, you really know, like when it comes to food, it's really coming down to the fresh ingredients. And yeah, just like spent just nights talking about, kind of our hopes and dreams, and really wanted to work together and wanted to work in the food world, but really didn't have like a concrete idea of what we wanted to do. Like didn't have a product idea or anything like that. And so we took an online course on human-centered design. It was offered to us by IDEO and the D School at Stanford. And it was free, and we just took it, and I kind of started from there and learned the basics. So that's Chang and I.
That's awesome. So I went to Stanford and I studied anthropology and did some classes in the D school. So those are fond memories. Was it online or?
Yeah, it was online.
Okay.
It was free, and I'm sure like a lot of people that are listening are designers, but if you're not familiar with human-centered design, and I'm not an expert by any means, I really just learned through kind of trial and error and practicing. But just kind of a quick background, I just got this from the IDEO design kit, but it basically the idea is that you start not with kind of your own idea of what a product should be, but really with the human aspect. So like who you're designing for. So you get inspiration and from actually going out and talking to people in the real world and observing them in their element, and really do your best to put yourself in their shoes and understand like their motivations, their challenges, and that's how you kind of get the ideas, lots of ideas, and then get to the implementation part. But we found actually the design sprint, which is kind of like, to me, it's really similar to HCD in a way, but it's more adapted to kind of the startup and tech world. And it's also super like, I kind of thrive on, I don't know, like instant gratification. So it's a pretty fitting method for us. It's a 5-day process, which sounds crazy. Like on the first day, you kind of frame the challenge, you make a map and choose kind of a targeted point in your design challenge to work on. And then on day 2, you start sketching. Day 3, you decide on what to work on. Day 4, you actually make a prototype. And then day 5, you test it with actual potential users. And so like within 5 days, you already went from 0 to having something concrete, and you can start iterating from there. So I think I just love that process a lot. And so we use that a lot in our team. And I'm definitely going to be able to share some of our examples.
We have a Go Trang
Oh,
fan. Thank you so much for commenting and let us know any questions about design thinking, how to get started. But Trang, tell us, do you want to go through this deck and tell us your
yeah.
story?
I made this deck and now I just forgot what's actually next. But yeah, I guess like I can talk a bit more because we talk about like, not starting with an idea, but more with the user. So I'll kind of go and talk a little bit more about the users that we're designing for. So first and foremost, we're building for small business farmers. And, here's an example of a small business farmer like Maria. She's, a farm owner. She's been in business for 3 years. She has about $350,000 in annual revenue. Most of her sales outlets are in wholesale. Some of it is in retail. So like she would sell at farmers markets, or she would also deliver to her retail customers. Our secondary users would be, buyers or like shop customers of the farm, right? So that would be, one would be like a retail buyer like Kim. She, is a product manager. She's married with 2 kids. She has quite maybe a higher level of income. She really values, high quality food, and she goes to the farmers markets often. But it also takes a lot of her time to go to the farmers market. So she's always looking out for, more convenient and easier way to shop from a farm. Also, Joseph is a sous chef. He has, 5 years of experience in fine dining, and he always, is looking for inspiration for his menu. And so having kind of like access to a wide variety of farms, also farm products for him to see and also buy from is something that he needs.
Awesome. We'll come back to this, but we have a question. How did you come up with the company name MasaFresh?
Great question. So Masa is a nickname that we have for Masanobu Fukuoka. He is a natural farmer and philosopher, and he really believes that natural farming could be just as productive as conventional farming, but it's just a totally different model. And so that's kind of the inspiration for us to start, this whole journey, is to really find out if that kind of a global network of small farms, can that be the alternative? Can that be feasible? And if we can actually be a part of that movement, like we would, use all of our, experience and whatever we can to make it feasible and successful. So, and honestly, like we started with the name Masa, but we couldn't get the trade, like it's easier to file trademark for MasaFresh. So that's why MasaFresh came about.
Is he a living guru?
He actually passed away, so I should have used past tense while talking about him. But yeah, he's
Wow, I
not
didn't know.
alive.
So coming back to the slide, are you a three-sided marketplace, or do you consider the buyers only the second side, like our partners and individual buyers the second side?
So we're primarily software, like a mobile software for the farm. But obviously, there's the e-commerce component. So, shoppers buy from the farm, so they still use the product. I'm not opposed to, having those other two, like the buyers as like our potential customers as well. We just haven't really developed enough features or like, worked with them enough to really understand them, to build for them yet. So I think right now our primary customer is the farmer.
Got it. Okay, awesome. Do you want to keep going on this slide or go to the next one?
Yeah, and so I shared a little bit about like the human-centered design and kind of the sprint process. But this is kind of an example, like these are actual screenshots of our team's sprints. So in the beginning, we were doing it in real life. So we were, like scribbling, using Post-it notes and having actual boards. And it was great fun. It was really good to be physical and to be in our body. But as the team became a little bit more distributed and virtual, we adopted kind of a more virtual approach. So this was done all on Mural. They actually also have a template for sprint specifically, so it's super convenient. So this is our day one of one of our sprints. You can see like you start framing the challenge and kind of mapping the user journey, and then choosing a target to work on, basically. And I probably won't spend a lot of time on these. It's just kind of for illustration. But this is day two. It's actually one of my favorite parts is the lightning demos, because you get to take inspirations from other products, other companies, other industries. You really think outside of your own box to get inspiration and ideas. And so, as you can see, our team members. Oh, I forgot to mention, you can include your team members. We've done. We've asked like outside experts to join us. We've asked our advisors to join us and be part of the process. And it's a really, really great way to get many perspectives, many ideas, on one challenge. This is, I think, another example of the lightning demos. And this is the sketching part where you actually get to work on the solutions. So each team member would kind of, draw their own kind of solution sketches. And on, I think it's day 3, you get to decide. And so it's kind of like you get to go through each solution and vote on kind of like your favorite ones. And then you decide on the actual prototype to work on for the test.
Wow. Can I ask you a question?
Uh-huh.
So, you learned Bubble, no code, and you learned design thinking, and you're just like fearless. So,
Oh my gosh.
I have a lot of clients who want to do live podcasts like this, and they just like don't end up doing it because they're afraid. So, is it just finding the people who are fearless? Like, I imagine advisors who are not designers like are afraid when they come into a design sprint and they have to sketch or do these things. Is it about just finding people who are fearless, or like how do you coach people to do something that they've never done before? I think that's my question.
Oh, that's such a good question. I mean, I resonate with that anxiety of doing a live podcast. I'm quite anxious myself. But I think as a team, Chang and I really approach things with like a beginner's mindset. And I think that goes back to kind of our, learnings from human-centered design. It's like you really approach things with a beginner's mindset. And I think as an advantage for us, we are beginners. I've never, raised money. I've never, designed. I've never, like, all of these things are new. So I am a beginner, and I kind of just embrace that. And I think once we do that, and we kind of say that as well to our team members, like we're not here to tell you what to think. Like we're also kind of here to explore. And so it kind of maybe gives them the freedom to just be okay with not knowing, and be okay with kind of the unknowns, and actually be excited about the process, because it is kind of unnerving, the whole process.
Yeah, and you've approached this like so well. Like you've invited like thousands of people to this podcast, and you don't look nervous at all. So I'm just like This is amazing. You know, how do we all have a beginner mindset but still like crush it? I think I
Oh,
love the culture you're building.
thank you.
Yeah, I'll say one more thing. I think the culture of being a beginner is so important as a founder because you constantly have to learn new things. And the minute you're an expert, then the next minute you're like a beginner again, because once you figure it out, you have to move on to something else that you haven't figured out. So I think the culture of being a beginner is really important in demonstrating to others, right? That like it's hard, but I'm going to do it anyway. So thank you for that. Let's keep going.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. Yeah, so I think couldn't find, I could, but I didn't have time to find like a lot of the prototypes that we've worked on. But I did find like a lot of kind of screenshots and pictures of the tests that we've done, on the prototypes. And so this was one of the earlier tests that we did. And I shared that, when we first started, we really, like, you can see in the background, like there's those physical boards and the post-it notes. And with this particular prototype, we were making paper prototype of, I believe, like the platform, like the e-commerce platform. And we were kind of brainstorming with the farmers here how they would actually fulfill the orders to the customers. At the time, we didn't even have an actual like working like product yet, right? And we haven't even fulfilled one single order. So we kind of were just brainstorming and kind of creating that whole process as we were going along, almost like playing, what is it called? Like, I know in Vietnamese, like chơi đồ hàng, like playing dolls almost to start.
Like paper dolls, like dressing them, or
yeah, like just play pretend almost in the beginning.
Okay.
Just to see what the process looks like, and then we would work on it and actually, build the actual prototype. So this was an earlier version, but fast forward to, I think this was in 2020, we were already having, actual customers and fulfilling orders, and we, asked a lot of our customers to, test new features. So this was when we started using Zoom a lot because of the pandemic. And so Zoom is also another amazing tool for us. Obviously, it has its own limitations because you can't gauge as well the reaction of the user. But because it's so amazing, you can kind of schedule tests with people regardless of their locations. It's so much more convenient. We can actually record the interviews and for later references. So it's so amazing. So we actually have been using it kind of almost, as you can see, like just like use it all the time for our process. So this is kind of a more later, like a more recent version of our tests of the new iteration of the software. We've also done discovery calls on Zoom as well. But yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah. So what were some of the other ideas that you started with? Because like you said, you just wanted to work in food. You didn't have like a perspective yet. So what were some of the 2 or 3 top ideas that you started with? And
when we first started, I think I mentioned like we didn't have an idea yet. So because of the class, we just started reaching out to, anyone in the food world that we can find, really. So at the time, we interviewed, grocery, grocery store employees, people that work in the back room, organizing the recycling, just like interview them about their work, even waste management workers, friends and family about their grocery shopping habits. And I think eventually we started interviewing people that have gardens and compost in their backyards, and people that basically grow food as a way of managing their waste and to be more sustainable. And I think just eventually we kind of graduated to to farmers that do it for a living. And I think that was when it really hit us that, oh wow, there's this whole new movement of farmers that are super excited about producing amazing products, unique varieties, really take time to research, but also they really care about preserving their ecosystem, building back the soil. At the same time, we were inspired by them, but also we realized that they have a lot of challenges. And number one is marketing, like market to finding customers, finding outlets, sales outlets. And number two is operations and logistics. So those are the two main challenges that we found. And yeah, so just kind of got obsessed with those two challenges since then. But I think in the beginning, one of the earlier kind of like ideas was a marketplace or like a platform to connect farmers and growers together and trade tools, resources and seeds. And that was kind of the first earlier versions. And we tested that version, and it didn't really, resonate as much with our testers. And so we kind of, iterate on it and test it, and kind of, I think the marketplace version, which we launched in 2020, was what resonated the most at the time. So we decided to launch with that. Yeah.
You launched a farmers market, right? Like
Yeah.
e-com farmers market.
Yeah. So in 2020, we decided to launch a marketplace platform, basically an online farmers market. And then the pandemic and the shutdowns happened. And so we realized that delivery would be a really important component. And so we also offered fulfillment and delivery services to the farmers and the customers at that time.
Yeah. Right. Daniel's asking, are there any quality check procedures for sustainable farming or organic practices in place? So I think you have to be certified organic, but how do you check on that?
Yeah, you have to be certified organic. So, so for us, there are two certifications or two marks. One is verified. So that means that we've actually come and, verified the identity of the owners and, know that the farm actually exists. And two is that, like if you're, so we work with a lot of Oregon and farmers. And so there's Oregon Tilth is the Oregon Organic certification. But yeah, those are the two.
Oh, so it's not USDA. It's like each state has their own certification?
Yeah, each state does have their own certification.
Okay. Daniel, let us know if you have any follow-up questions. And then we have Amir who's saying, great session.
Thank you for joining. Amir's been amazing. He's been amazing supportive advisor for us actually since 2019. Thank you, Amir.
All right. Well, getting back to those prototypes. So how long did it take you to figure out that farmers didn't want to do a tool trade? Was it in that week, or how do people, like other founders, take their ideas and de-risk them or prove them in a short amount of time?
It's been so long. I don't actually remember. I think it's really just because we were testing, like the concept at the time. I think we were using actually just like Google Slides to demonstrate the concept to the farmers that we showed them to, and I don't think they really understood it, or they just didn't see the point of it, because they already have like their own group of people that they talk to. So at the time, it didn't seem like it was very. It didn't seem like it resonated with them. So, yeah.
So that was maybe just a couple of weeks. It wasn't like over years of building.
Oh no, yeah, I think it
Okay.
was basically just a few days. We probably tested with like 5 or 6 people, and didn't see like a lot of resonance. So
yeah, I think that's what's so compelling about design thinking, is that in 5 days instead of like 5 years, right? You can kill the prototype, and then you moved into launching the online farmers market. And I think that solved the problem of marketing for farmers, because they had direct access to buyers. But tell us about that and how you pivoted after that.
yeah, so I think, as I mentioned, we started in 2020, offered the marketplace platform and delivery services to kind of the Portland metro area. And at the time, we partnered with Portland Farmers Market and Beaverton Farmers Market, and we were really, really fortunate to have a lot of their support. And so we decided that we really didn't want to go with like a asset heavy type of model. And so at the time, we were lending equipment from them and set up like mobile fulfillment stations at the market. And so this is one of the stations that we use to fulfill our orders. I can kind of, and I think the next few slides will show kind of the operations from start to finish. So like this, we would start I think 6:30 in the morning. This is my car, like fit I think 10 picnic tables. So we would start setting up. Our team would set the table, start checking in products from different farms. So this is how it looks like in real life. And I guess I have to take a little bit of a step back. Is like, anyone that's done fulfillment or logistics knows it's so overwhelming. And I think in the beginning, we started with just pen and paper, and it was so insane. It was chaotic. And I think in order for us to keep our sanity, we had to build something to just keep track of all of the moving pieces. And so what you're looking at is basically like our own internal tool that we built for the team. So in order to check in products, we would, go through all of the vendors. Each coordinator will check in products from a vendor. And once they're finished, and they would go to the next one, right? So it's basically just like a pick list, from like a farmer's point of view. That would be a pick list, but for us, it's a check-in list. After you check in, if there's any kind of like discrepancy, the coordinator would note down the changes, and there's like a bulletin board type of pop-up that you can actually go to and see like what all of the updates or the changes or discrepancies are. And as you can see, it's quite scrappy. It doesn't look good or anything, but it was functional. And any kind of bugs or any kind of mishaps that happen, we would have like as a team have a hurdle at the end of the day and just kind of rehash all the things that happened that went wrong. And so that would, we would note all of those feedback down, and that would be for the development team, which is basically me and Trang, to go back to, and we would have a short meeting, basically probably the next day, go through and prioritize like what needs to be fixed, what new features need to be worked on, So like this bulletin board basically came about because, when a lot of different coordinators check in, they might not know what other, what updates or changes happen from the other, from the vendors that they don't check in, basically. And so everyone has to have an alignment. And so that basically why we built this bulletin board. But there are many, many small little kind of details that we just kind of built on the go, like just happened like weekly. So, after the check-in process, we would pick and pack. And so, the coordinators would, that's what happens in real life, but they would basically have like assigned orders that they would pack for. And so they would go through each, item, pick them, mark them as available or not. And then after they're done with picking for the whole orders, they would take a picture for verification purpose for later.
Oh, wow.
And then pack the order. And also this feature came about because, there would be, errors would happen, right? And if we don't actually take a photo and you're working on so many orders and they're, just retail orders, right? So it's all different. It's so easy to just miss, one little item. And if you don't verify, then you can't actually go back and reference it. If, maybe the customers are missing it or something like that. So anyway, so that's basically like all of the little nuance that just happen, as we're going along that you just really can't kind of foresee. And you have to just be okay with working in real time and fixing things in real time and building in real time.
All right, we have a couple questions. So Jasmine says, this is amazing. What was the name of the app that you built? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, what's the name of the... Oh, we didn't have a name. I think we just call it MasaFulfill, but we didn't really have a name for it. It just kind of, just MasaFulfill.
And I think when we talked before, was MasaFulfill before or after the online farmers market?
It happened at the same time. Like I mentioned, because when we were fulfilling, if we're only just a marketplace for the farmers, it would be a totally different story. But we also offered the fulfillment and delivery service to the customers and to the farmers. And because of that, we had to build this internal app. We also even built like a delivery component for the delivery drivers that we hire to track their deliveries. But for the sake of time, I didn't include that in here.
Oh, so, to Jasmine's question, was that a different app with a different name, the delivery one?
No, it's all part of the same same software. We use the same database. It just basically feeds all of the orders from the marketplace that we built side to basically like the back end. And yeah.
Okay.
I hope that makes sense.
What's that?
I hope that makes sense.
Yeah. Daniel's asking, will there be collaboration with farmers in Vietnam because they have amazing fruits, or only the US?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, I'm from Vietnam originally, so I think like the dream will be to be, working with farmers in Vietnam, especially because I think they have so many more disadvantages, compared to the farmers in the US. Like I think they have much more limited access to, technology, and like I feel like the farmers in the US are quite savvy compared to the farmers in Vietnam. There's also like a small group of really savvy young farmers in Vietnam. And so actually I'm here on this trip mostly for vacation, but also I'm actively looking for opportunities to visit farms and interview them, and kind of do the same process that we've done in the US, but start that whole process here, step by step.
Wow. So you're thinking about the same, I guess the same technology applies across localization. So that makes sense. So it's for farmers to use for their own inventory, and that can be scaled globally.
Yeah, I mean, I think in theory, yes, definitely. There's no for, and I'm going to talk about the pivot as well, but basically, we, now that we are a software company only, we're not offering, delivery services anymore. There's no real like geo limitation.
Right.
The challenge really is, like how to make it super, super easy to use so that people can, any farmer, right, that might be not as tech savvy can still adopt it and use it and pick it up and just start, selling online and start fulfilling right away. Like, I think that would be the end goal. But it's not easy to get there.
Jasmine has a question, but I have a question first about
Sure.
farmers and modernization. So, a lot of industries try to modernize operations first. And how were farmers like? Do they all react the same way? Like, yes, we need this now, or no, we're always going to work on paper. Like, what were the farmers' reactions to technology?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it is a mix, right? Like, I think the feedback that we get from our most recent prototype, which is basically like the kind of the fulfillment app for farms, is that, oh, we love having something to write on and to, like something physical, because that's what we're used to. So that is the feedback. So we are working on basically like a print button.
Really? I
Yeah,
love it.
for the app, because sure, you can still print out the pick list, but at least you can have it automated for you, and you can print it out and still scribble on it and mark it as if it's more comfortable. But at least you don't have to actually go through the whole process of going through your emails, going through your text messages, going through your Facebook or social media, like all of the messages, to figure out what the orders are, and then tally up what you actually have to harvest in the field. Like, I think that is a really time consuming process, can be really overwhelming for farms when it gets to a certain sales level, and it's just a lot of opportunities for errors to happen, and costly errors to happen. So yeah.
All right. So Jasmine was asking about was the software bubble? I think it was. Now I'm curious, like, did you upgrade to more database rows, or when you got to like 3 products, delivery, fulfillment, and farm, like how is your bubble plan changing?
What's the software bubble? I don't understand the question. What is
I think she's asking, did you use Bubble to build your SaaS
Oh
software?
yeah. Oh yeah, I use Bubble for oh yeah, I think I've probably didn't mention I use Bubble for basically all of our prototypes and all of our products since 2020. So the marketplace platform was built on Bubble, and that's how we were able to kind of like have one database, one single kind of central, um, reference point for all of the tools that we built. And that's goes back to why Bubble is so amazing, is that I've used all of the e-commerce platforms out there: Wix, Squarespace, Shopify, everything, right?
Doesn't
Like all of the
compare.
forums.
Yeah.
And they're great, but if you actually want to have a lot of different features and you want to be, talking to your users and rapidly iterate on your software, and you don't have a tech background and you're not a developer, I think Bubble would be, a really, really great tool to use. Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't clarify that in the beginning.
And then
hey, Kisi. Thanks for joining. Akisi is part of my Techstars cohort in 2022 in Atlanta. I need to oh, thank you. Yeah, I would love to connect with Kavi. Yes, sign me up. Thank you.
All right. And then we have a question about the next version of MasaFresh. So why don't you go back to your slides, because you're going to talk about the pivot and then the current version and then maybe the next version.
Yes. Yeah, so we basically pivoted in 2022, so last year. So it became kind of clear to us that we, the business model at the time wasn't scalable, and there was a lot of pressure at the time from like our advisors and investors, and rightly so, to basically scale the business the conventional way for like a typical grocery delivery service, right? Which means you have to raise a lot of money, invest in warehousing, invest in like delivery infrastructure, invest in, all of those kind of capital to scale. And we felt really strongly about staying asset light. And so, but still didn't really have a clear idea of where we're going to go next. So in the meantime, we kept, visiting farms, since, I kind of illustrated some visits here. This at Rainbow Produce Farm. We visited with Eloisa Organic Farm, and also just begged any farmers that would let us to volunteer for them and work for them. And so on one of those volunteer trips, so this is, I don't know if we can actually play the clip. I don't think so. That's kind of sad. But basically we were on this farm for 2 days, and we were able to work, kind of see the whole process and be part of the whole process, from picking in the field, getting up super early, going into the field, picked the lettuce, picked, the kale, pack them into bunches, delivered, put them all in, vats, and drive the truck back to the packing shed, clean out all of the boxes, wash the vegetables, and pack them. And just not only like imagine and put ourselves in their shoes, but actually try to be part of the process. And it was really eye-opening for us, because we truly understood that the farmers that we were working with also experienced a lot of the same, if not even more challenging logistical issues that we were facing ourselves, while they were fulfilling for their own, wholesale clients. And they didn't have an internal app that we did. They were using, like imagine they're just taking orders from text. This is an illustration. It's not an actual, farmers' texts or emails, but they were receiving orders from texts, right? From emails. And they were manually going through each order and putting it on a pick list for them to be able to harvest in the field. And the same goes to, kind of the whole system. It's very manual and pen and paper. And so imagine how stressful that would be, right? We really experienced firsthand that stress, trying to keep track of all of the moving pieces, and, the worry that, maybe one single error will happen. Also, changes happen with fulfillment. So, for example, like one unexpected, like overnight frost can wipe out a whole like lettuce crop. And so you actually have to communicate changes to your customers. And think about, if you have like 2 customers, that's not a big deal. But if you have 10, if you have 20, and you have a lot of different changes, then especially if you have different people on the same team, things will be missed. And so that really is the kind of pivotal moment for us to go back to the drawing board and go through the design sprints and basically made the decision to retool our internal app and offer that as an app to the farms. So yeah, that also answered that question, like what is kind of the 2.0 version of MasaFresh? Like, when we are now, like we just recently launched the beta version of that software to the farms. And I'd love to do like a live demo here, to show you how that works. Okay, cool. This is nerve-wracking.
You're doing amazing.
Okay, let me know if you can see the screen. So this is an example of like an online, farm stand for Sophia Farm. And I'll just go through quickly, like kind of the e-commerce side of it, so you can, add items. I'm gonna place an order. I think the internet's a little bit slow, but
you're making me so hungry.
I think, yeah, that's the beauty of working with fresh produce, is that it's already naturally pretty colorful and inviting. So we really try to encourage the farmers to take a lot of pictures, even if it's just like with their phone, and even if it's not perfect, like it doesn't have to be like in a studio, because it's already naturally so beautiful. So you can check out, and then, depending on the farm's capability, they can set up, their pickup location or their delivery route. Let's say I'm gonna choose to pick up. If you're already signed in, then all of your information is saved. One of the kind of like new features that we have is that the farmers can actually offer different payment methods. And because we noticed that a lot of them already have Venmo or Cash App as like a way of accepting payments, and they actually prefer it because it doesn't, charge a fee. But let's just go with credit card for now. So I'll place an order. And we use Stripe as our payment partner. This is a test environment. So I'm just gonna okay, that should work. And then once I make a payment, or like I place the order, I should see my order page, which is loading. And I think so this is, oh, actually, should I share this tab? So this is basically the dashboard side, for the farm. So they can actually, at a quick glance, have an overview of their business, their sales. Obviously, like edit their products in real time. But I think the really best part is that they can actually see all of their orders in one place, and with one click of a button, they can actually see their pick list. So no more, manual tallying up. They can actually go into each product. So, I mean, when I say retooling our internal app, it's quite different because we were fulfilling retail orders, right? But a lot of times, farmers have wholesale customers that they fulfill for, and fulfilling wholesale orders is different than fulfilling for retail orders. I'm going to try to explain this the best way I can. But when we were observing, when we were volunteering, we observed that, you know, they didn't actually go and pick each item for one order, right? They were washing, you know, 100 bunches of cilantro, and then they packed those cilantro bunches for the wholesale orders. And so that would be the workflow, right? And so you're not going into one order and just going through each separate item, but you go into, let's say, like cilantro, and you're gonna say, oh, okay, I have the 5 bunches of cilantro for Flower Cafe, check. 20 bunches for Dono, check. You know, something like that. Like, it's a completely different workflow, even though it's in theory the same process. So anyway, that's just like the nuances that you see when you actually observe people work in their own element. But you can't know that if you don't actually observe them. But yeah, I'd love to show more. But in the interest of time, I'd love to answer questions as well. But if you, yeah, like if anyone wants to see the demo, I'm more than happy to, you know, schedule a time with you and show you the demo in more detail.
Wow, congratulations.
Thank you.
So viewers, please type your last question, and I'm going to show Akisi's question. Would you collaborate with another company developing similar software for farmers, but targeted on a specific crop?
I mean, I'm honestly open to talking to, you know, everyone that's in the ecosystem, just to understand like what they're working on and learn from them, and yeah, like potentially just explore any way to collaborate. I think, you know, we have been kind of like heads down working on the development for a while, but I think right now it is time for us to just, you know, really focus more on like sharing the work and, you know, really collaborate and learn from others as well. So yeah, I'd love to.
Ooh, it feels so good to launch, and then you get to do all the other things and continue to grow. So congratulations.
Oh, thank you. It's a constant process. We're still, you know, I think I mentioned before, the communication, the change communication is kind of what we're working on next, which is basically like, you know, kind of the refund and replacement type of handling, how to automate that process. And so that's one of the features that we're working on and testing right now. So it never ends.
So what can we do to help? Should everyone go to MasaFresh.com, or what's your homework for us?
I think my big ask is if you have any farmer friend, if you have anyone that you know that works in the food, you know, world, I'd love to connect with them. I think right now, you know, one of the missing pieces for us is pricing. Like, we know that we need to, you know, start monetizing, right? But like, how do we price this, and how do we, you know, because it's a challenge because farmers are quite skeptical, you know, users. And so like, how do we make the adoption process like as frictionless as possible? And I think pricing is one of them. And so, but we also want to make money to sustain ourselves. So I think I'd love to, you know, if you have experience in pricing or revenue model, I'd love to chat with you as well. Also, we're starting our fundraising in Q1 of 2024. So yeah, if you're an investor, we'd love to chat with you. That's basically it.
So people should get in touch on your LinkedIn, or what's the best way? I know you have an Instagram too.
Yeah, my LinkedIn would be a great way. MasaFresh.com. You can go on, to the website. Hi@masafresh.com is also our general email.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. We're going to end the podcast, but Trung, please stay on, and I definitely can help you with pricing and some investor networks as well. So
Thank you, Jenny, for the amazing opportunity. I really appreciate your work. You're doing amazing work. So thank you.
Oh, well, it's a pleasure. So many people have helped me found my products, and I want to give back to all the other amazing founders like you, and especially with your fearless spirit. I think you embody the ethos of this podcast. So thank you. All right. Well, everyone, please get in touch with Trung directly, and we'll see you at the next podcast next week. And subscribe to my Substack. All right.
Yes, subscribe.
All right. Bye, everyone, and Trung, stay on.